Hello, all you beautiful car lovers out there, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And before I say another word, I want to say thank you very, very much to all of our CNC Auto Show team. My co-host, John Ryan Mooney, he's not only awesome with car knowledge, but he's also awesome fun to be around.
Took you a long time to make that up.
And actually, he's one of my best friends.
Right.
I'll say that. And our producer, Dominic Frito, he's exceeded all of my expectations. He runs the board, changes the videos, come up with some great ideas. He has to tailgate talk and lots more.
He pushes your buttons.
Yeah, he does. He's also fun to be around also. And Sandy Klein is mega awesome. She comes up with ideas for the show, pictures for the video side, and actually she reads my mind. She's unbelievable with that stuff. And our technical engineer, Zach Llewellyn, and I'm going to give the team here some news that they may not know yet. Zach already had a Bachelor of Science degree in Applied Technology. Recently, he received a certificate in cybersecurity.
Wow.
Now, that's kind of huge, really,
That is.
in that world. And he's one of the few computer people.
I don't think that's how you say that, but
not only smart, but he's also lots of fun, and he loves cars.
he does, yep.
So all of that tied in together makes him the perfect engineer for the CNC Auto Show. And I want to say thank you to our entire CNC Auto Show team. And I also want to say thank you to the CNC Automotive team. You know, it's kind of fun, and it's really a dream come true to get to work around people that you like so much.
It is,
and
yeah.
You enjoy being around. And that's the same way with both of these teams here that it is. It's just so much fun to be around. And we appreciate it. Now, the other thing that I enjoy being around is the phone calls from the listeners.
Absolutely.
We love each and every one of you. And what we really love is to get those phone calls from you. And that number is 706-863-5800. That's Saturday mornings, 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. You can also watch us live at ccautoshow.com. Now, it's about time to get this little puppy on the road. And one of the things that we want to talk about during the show, now, of course, the questions are the number one thing.
Right.
I mean, we love those.
Yep.
We also love to share tips about cars. But in between the questions and the tips, we'll sprinkle in a little theme. And that theme has to do with saving money on car expenses today. And did you know that the average person, now get this is kind of neat to know, the average person spends over $500,000 on vehicles and vehicle-related expenses over their lifetime.
Oh, wow.
And during today's show, we'll tell you ways that you can save money on those expenses, which is kind of neat. So buckle up and let's get started. And we normally start off with a nice little tech tip quiz, and the winner will receive a spot on the CNC Auto Show Facebook page, which I didn't mention. You can watch us live there also, and at ccautoshow.com you can watch us live. But they'll win a spot there. They'll also win a prize package that includes a CNC Auto Show hat or coffee mug and the extremely, highly sought-after, I answered, the Tech Tip Quiz golf shirt. Did we build it up good, John Ryan?
I liked it, man. I could see it in my eyes.
Don't it just sound awesome?
Yeah, I saw the picture of, like, the T-shirt with the halo
like
behind it.
A mental image.
Yeah, it was good.
Ooh, I love it. Okay, Bill bought something at the grocery store on aisle 3 that saved him money on his car expenses. What did he buy? And if you know the answer, you could be the winner. So give us a call.
I'm out.
Oh, come on now. And we will go ahead and start out with one of the items that we have as far as things that you can save money with. And one of the things that I think is huge important, and one of the biggest ways, is to just keep your car longer.
That's true. Yeah.
Keeping your car longer instead of trading it or upgrading it every couple of years. Not only does the cost of the new cars rise each year, but cars depreciate fairly quickly when you're dealing with cars. Now, I'm talking about the average car. I'm not talking about like the 66 Mustangs or
Right. But isn't it true that they depreciate like 20-something% right off the lot?
I don't know the exact number, but
There,
that
I
sounds
was
like it would
told
probably be true.
Yeah, I remember being told or reading this in an article that was 24%, but I don't remember when that was. As soon as you literally drive off the parking lot.
Yeah, and that does sound average. It sounds right
About
to
right,
me
yeah.
from what I can understand. And not only does the cost of the new cars rise each year, but the cars depreciate quickly, and you lose money when you go to trade it back in.
Right.
So keeping a car a long time, and also if you're financing, of course, the finance fees, you're having to pay those.
Mm-hmm.
So what we recommend doing is buy a good quality car and keep it at least 5 to 7 years, and that's about what we do. Actually, I do more like 10
Yeah.
in most cases, and you can save a lot of money. Now, if you want to save even more money, buy a good, high quality pre-owned car, and that'll save you even more. And normally when you buy that, a lot of the major depreciation is gone, and it's good as far as in your lifetime. And I've done this. Find a good person that sells used cars.
Yeah.
Unless you just like to go look for one yourself and you know how to do the research on the title and
Right.
make sure that everything's right. Find a person that sells cars and stick with it. Now, here in the CSRA, I've been buying cars for years and years and years from Philip Hawkins Motor Company.
Yep.
Philip Hawkins knows cars. He knows how to find really good cars.
Yeah.
And he always gives a good price.
He does.
And so it's worked out well for me. And people in other areas, they may consider going out and finding. You can ask your friends
Right.
somewhere to go. But find a good place that sells used cars, and when you stick with them, a lot of times you'll build up a lot of goodwill and trust toward that person.
Exactly. That's a good tip.
Yeah. So buying cars, and again, I've bought many used cars from Philip Hawkins, and it's always turned out really well.
Yes.
Okay. Another great tip is, now this has more to do with the driving side of it, but keep a steady speed when you're driving on the highway, using the cruise control. Avoid getting stuck behind slow cars where you have to slow down and then pace their speed and do all the other things. In other words, if you hit a spot where you can possibly use your cruise control,
Right.
that's always a good thing to do.
It is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely maintaining the speed.
And then also along with that, not only are you saving on fuel when you do that, but also it's helping on the car itself. You're not using the brakes as much, and
Right.
you're just generally saving wear and tear on the car.
Especially
and
on the transmission, if you're on hills and stuff like that, you're not in and out of overdrive.
Yeah, so there's so many things that you can do that can save a huge amount of money on cars as you go. Now, some of the other things that you can do is don't drive too fast, don't drive too slow.
Right.
It takes about 20 to 30% more gas to drive at 70 miles an hour than 50 miles an hour. So if you're in a hurry, then you may have to drive more and you're going to use more gas. But if you're not in that big a hurry, you might as well slow down just a tad bit.
And maybe even enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is the other thing as far as safety and saving on car expenses, is to also leave a little earlier when
Right.
you're going somewhere. Just don't try to leave at the last minute and get to where you're going as quickly as you can, because you're going to have to use more fuel to do that. And of course, it's not quite as safe. And that would fit into our show producer this morning, Dominic Frito. He was running behind, and of course, my guess is he had to drive a little fast to get here.
That scares me because he already drives fast.
Yeah.
He could be early and drive fast.
Okay. All right. It's time to pull over for this exit, and we hope you're on the line when we get back on the road. And we'll also have a great tip on cutting your car expenses. We'll be right back after these messages.
My pappy said, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
And welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. One of the ways that you can save money as far as with your car is keep the car maintained, change the oil and the oil filter on a regular basis. And cars used to call for 3 months, 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to do that. The later model cars are built much better than ever before.
Right.
And you can many times go longer. You want to get with your service advisor and look in your owner's manual to try to get the time that's right for you.
Yeah, it's not really a universal.
Yeah. Sometimes it might be 5,000. Some might be 7,000. Depends on your driving habits. Depends on the type oil using. Depends on the car.
Right.
But come up with that. But keeping your oil change on a regular basis, and especially the inspection process while that oil change is being done.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll keep your tires.
That's as
inflated.
important, really.
Yeah, all of those are very, very important as you go.
Yeah.
So
We have any? Didn't you say we had an email?
but
question
we
or
do
two?
have an email. We had a question. Now, this gentleman had a '07 Chevrolet truck, 2,500 diesel, and he has a block heater. And he says, is it beneficial to use the block heater in temperatures in his area? It gets down to about 20 degrees on a cold
yeah, for
morning.
sure. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the neat thing about it, especially if it already has it. I would definitely use it. I've talked to you about it before. I plug mine up just because, again, it has it, so why not? And just out of curiosity, one day I was wondering how warm it kept the coolant. I thought maybe 80, 90 degrees, but it actually keeps it 160. So you have just about immediate heat. The batteries don't work as hard because, it's spinning over a relatively warm engine rather than a bone-cold engine. And it's just all in all better for it. It's actually better for the emission side of it, too. So I would definitely encourage using it. For sure.
So if you do have a block heater, it's good to use that. And
The only thing I would add to that is make sure you use a good quality drop cord because it does evidently draw a lot of amps. So you don't want an indoor outdoor drop cord. I would get a good one.
Yeah, be real safe as you do that. Okay, are you ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go over to Dory.
Okay, fantastic. Dory, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help with?
Well, thank you so much. I have a heater that doesn't work. I have a 2006 Mercury
And you don't
Marquis.
have a heater.
Right. And the air conditioner works. It blows, but there's no heat. And at the same time, in about a 3-week period of time, the door lock on the driver's side, the button that you push to lock the doors, doesn't work, and the button that you push to do the automatic windows on the passenger side didn't work. And it all happened all about the same time. I don't know that they're connected, but I definitely would like to know some information about the heater, what I should be doing.
All right, Dory, have you noticed the coolant temperature gauge on this vehicle?
On the
dashboard?
Talking about on the dash?
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's, in the normal spot. It should be halfway in between C and H.
Yes.
Okay.
No, it seems to be fine.
Okay. A lot of times, some of those marquees, the thermostat will stick, and of course, then it never allows it to heat up all the way. But you would normally see that on the gauge. It's not foolproof, but normally the gauge would run a little cooler than normal. In '06, they had electronically controlled heater doors that basically switch from cold to hot. So there's a possibility that the door itself is stuck on cold, which unfortunately we see that a lot. So sometimes we wish they would have stuck on hot because many people would have, had more service out of it throughout the winter, and then they could fix it during the summertime. So that's definitely a possibility. Do you ever hear any clicking in the dash or anything like that?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. The doors sometimes when they get bound up or the little motor that turns and brakes, it'll actually have a clicking, just a kind of a rhythmic clicking noise. So that's one possibility. How many miles are on the vehicle?
88,000.
88,000. That's the only other thing I can think of is the heater core could possibly be restricted, but normally that's a 150,000 mile thing or a 200,000 mile thing after the coolant's been in there for a while and hasn't been serviced. But with that low of mileage, I doubt that's it. Chances are it's probably got a blend door issue, would be my suspicion.
And Dory, John Ryan didn't mention this part because when he asked you about the temperature gauge, it almost eliminates this, but I wouldn't completely eliminate it. When your coolant level starts getting low, one of the first things that goes out is the heater because it's the highest point.
That's true.
And you don't get the right amount of air, water flow,
Yeah,
heated
circulation.
water flow through there. Usually that will affect the temperature gauge, and you'll notice a little bit of a higher reading, but sometimes it may not. So I believe I'd go ahead and start with the basics, because what was it that used to or cracks on those that causes it to start losing coolant? Is that the
Now you talking about a physical coolant leak?
yeah?
Some of those had quick connect fittings on the heater core, if that's what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about the intake manifold?
Yeah, intake manifold.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it was.
yeah.
We ran into some of those models had an intake manifold that would crack.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the spot where it cracks at was made out of a carbon fiber.
Carbon,
and
plastic
they,
almost.
so many of them did it that companies now come out with one that's metal in that spot where it cracked at,
Right.
so it don't crack again. So you may have a coolant leak that's starting to get very slow, and it's not bad enough to affect your temperature gauge yet, but it is bad enough that where it would affect your heater.
Right.
So start with the basics on checking that, and then the routes, all the things that John Ryan mentioned, having to do with a restricted heater core or the temp actuator door sticking up underneath there.
How wonderful. Thank you. Can you give me any idea how much, if it was the door part, how much that would be?
I can give you a rough idea, and what's a little tricky on that is there's several actuators under there, and of course it's hard to remember which ones you have to take the complete dash off.
Right.
But there are some models that what they did, they laid that little actuator on the floor and then built the car all around it. So the actuator is not very much, but you got to take a lot of stuff off to get to it. Now, that temp door, I'm afraid may very well be one that you have to take the dash
definitely
apart.
have to take dash out, yeah, unfortunately.
So I would say you could very well get into the $600 range, $600 to $700 range. And that's one of the reasons, one of the most important steps that you can take right now is to have someone do a good diagnostic test on it to make sure what it is, because you, of course, definitely wouldn't want to go change anything until you knew for sure what was wrong with the car.
Yes.
Yes. But and that would be.
Well, thank you very, very much.
Oh, we thank you.
I appreciate the advice.
Thank you, Dory.
Thanks
And
for
the
calling.
expertise.
Well,
Goodbye.
We appreciate the phone call, and of course, no doubt that would start with checking the coolant level.
Right.
We always
Sometimes I always assume those are good. So.
Well, you asked the part about the temp gauge, and and usually it will affect the temp gauge.
Yeah.
And I knew.
Well,
I
that's
knew
if
that
you
was
watch
why
it too, though.
Yeah, I knew that was why you went
Asked
straight
about that.
past that because it wasn't up, and it may not be. Mention a couple of quick things. We have a
Break coming up too.
yeah, we got a quick break. The beer brewing giant that placed an order for 40. This is Anheuser-Busch. They placed an order for 40 of Tesla's new electric semis. The battery-powered trucks unveiled in November have a range up to 500 miles between charges and a starting price of $200,000. So there will be some electric rigs on the road coming up. Okay, time to take a real quick break. We'll return with more fun, answering more questions, and talking about ways to cut vehicle expenses. That and more with the CNC Auto Show as soon as we return.
Thought twice before I hauled a Barbie doll bed for the girl next door. She tried to pay me with a kiss, and I began to understand there's something women like about a pickup man.
And welcome back to the CNC Auto Show, and it is time for the Tailgate Talk with Dominic Frito. What you got for us, Dominic?
Well, right now we are in the dead of winter, and it was a little bit chilly the past couple of days down here in Georgia. I'm sure a lot of other areas in the country deal with this all the time. With the newer cars and the all the technology, the driver assist functions that come with those, all these, what's the word that I'm looking for here?
Sensors.
Yes, that's it. All the sensors that control those are either mounted in the grill or on the windshield or somewhere on the front of the car. So make sure that you're keeping those areas of your car clear so that the systems do work properly.
That
Oh,
might be kind of difficult.
And that will have to do with, especially things to do with collision avoidance devices that use radar or sonar, parking assist type items.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, even the ones
because
that,
the
you know-
ice will be all over them.
Well, the ones that have lane assist too. I mean, it's not gonna find the lane on the ground with no, just the snow on it. And so
Yeah, and there was I did have a little article about something that had to do with that. I'm not sure exactly where the article is, but it has to do with a company that is helping to build autonomous cars for very, very cold areas that can navigate through the snow and ice. And they said it is definitely not perfected yet. They said it's got some issues that it goes through, but it is made for that, and I think it uses extra sensors and in case one gets ice over it. So that's a good point there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we would definitely overlook, especially like the cameras in the windshield, like John Ryan was talking about for the lane departure system, because those are so finicky as it is.
Yeah.
You put anything in the way of the windshield, and it's just not going to detect that lane at all.
Yep.
And I will say that's a large part of what we do now. We do a tremendous amount of work having to do with working with things like the sonar on the cars, the radar, the laser type cruises, just a lot of different areas like that we've been working with and doing a lot of fine tuning.
So that was tailgate talk, huh?
Yep, that was our tailgate talk. Okay. All right, fantastic. Okay, we're going to lay our tech tip quiz back on the table there. Bill bought something at the grocery store on aisle 3 that saved him money. Actually, he could have bought it on any aisle.
Okay.
But it saved him money on his car expenses. And what did he buy? And this is really a good tip to mention, because without question it will save people a lot of money as far as on different things that they can do. All right, and now we're talking about different things that can save people money with their cars. And when you're coming up to a traffic light, just coast up to the traffic light by just taking your foot off the gas pedal instead of trying to go as fast as you can all the way up to the light and then slamming on brakes.
Yeah, just do it a little earlier so you got the time.
Yeah, and that would save a lot. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and mention one of my favorite saving thing, and in a way it has to do with saving money on your car,
right?
But in another way it's not really the car itself. It's just I enjoy drinking coffee.
Yeah,
and,
we know.
And that's
there's coffee cups everywhere.
Yeah, I enjoy drinking, and I don't drink the expensive coffee. I get my coffee from a Circle K store, and I get a cup almost every morning. Well, this is a big money saver for a lot of people that do that. If you go in and you buy a new cup of coffee, it is $1.93.
All right.
Okay, so you go in and pay them the $1.93, and you get your new cup of coffee, and that's normally a large cup, and you walk out.
All right.
Well, if you carry a cup in there, and then it's $1.07, I think it is. Or
one of their
like
cups, though,
yeah.
right?
No, any cup.
Okay.
Any cup.
Gotcha.
And the reason I say that is no matter what area somebody's in, you can there's still a lot of programs like that you can go to where if you drink a cup of coffee in the morning, you can go in, and some of them have you have to have their cup, others you can have any cup. But in any case, try to find out about those little programs that they have if you're doing something every day.
Yeah.
And you may find a program there that you can get coffee that tastes just as good.
Yeah.
Or whatever you enjoy, a hot chocolate or whatever you enjoy in the mornings, and save money every morning. Now, in the beginning, you look at it and you say, well, it's only roughly close to $1 that you're saving a day, but you're talking $5-6 a week.
Well, if you do that, and then you do that at lunch, for a meal or something like that, and then it saves up.
Yeah, and so it can save up. And so what I do is I carry a cup into the store almost every time I fill up.
I think you carry a 5-gallon bucket in there.
No, I just get a normal coffee cup, and everything goes very well.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was a size limit on that coffee refill thing, because some people would carry a 5-gallon bucket.
It hasn't been told no yet.
Yeah, I really don't think there's a size limit, because I do see people bringing very large containers in
there's
and
got to
filling
be.
them up. So
There's got to be. Another one, some stations, like you said, I'm sure it's different in other areas, but along the same lines, some stations offer, if you pay cash on like a Sunday, it's 3 cents cheaper, 10 cents cheaper, whatever it is. So things like that too could pay off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of things that may save money, and some of them may be even related to the tip quiz.
Okay.
Yeah. So if someone gets the tip quiz, that could be a hint right there.
All right.
Possibly. Okay, here's the story. This gentleman in New York, he had a '66 Mustang that
Okay.
he had bought for his daughter's birthday, 16th birthday. Well, something happened, and the police had to check some information on the car. One of the things they checked was the serial number, and they
Yeah,
checked the
VIN number.
serial number that was under the hood. Well, come to find out, that vehicle was reported stolen in 1980. All right, now, since the time the man, he said he had purchased this vehicle, 66 Mustang in 2004 for $3,500. And he said he bought it after his daughter, he bought it for his daughter's 16th birthday, but he had spent $60,000 to refurbish
Refurbish it?
vehicle.
Oh, my God.
Or to restore, I guess would be the word. All right, now they impounded the car because they said it was stolen, and they won't let him know where the car is.
Are you serious?
Yeah, or any of the details on the car. His insurance paid him $1,450 for the car, but he wants his car back.
Yeah.
And they will not give him his car back. And
Wow.
so it's right now it's in an impound yard somewhere, and he said he's thinking about taking legal action.
No, I think the sheriff's driving that one.
Yeah. All right, you ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go over to Margo.
All right, fantastic. Margo, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help with?
I'd like to try the tech tip quiz.
Oh, okay, hold on. We're going to put you on stage. Okay, Margo, you are on stage, and what is the answer to the tech tip quiz?
Is it a coupon?
A coupon. Let me see. He bought a coupon at the grocery store.
Oh.
Yeah. See, the question was, Bill bought something at the grocery store on aisle 3 that saved him money on his car expenses. What did he buy?
I missed that part.
Yeah, but Margo, I'm sorry about this part. Oh, Margo, I am so sorry about that.
She liked it.
Yes, she did.
No, you're not.
Okay.
All right, bye.
All right. Thank you for the call. Okay, the number to call 706-863-5800. That's 805 to 10 any Saturday morning, and that's Eastern time. Give us a call. Okay, and we are talking about things that can save money on cars, and of course that having a lot of little maintaining the vehicle
Right.
is one of the most important parts. Keeping things like your oil change, your belts, your hoses, and things like that. And then your car just lasts longer. You don't have the systems that go out. For instance, one of the things, just thinking about a transmission
Right.
issue, transmission fluid does wear out after a period of time. And many times people just don't even think about changing the transmission fluid. And a lot of times they may be changing different fluids themselves, or just taking it into someone who's only doing an oil change and not doing a good inspection.
Right.
And really, it's not the person's real fault, because they're not they don't know to replace their
Yeah, they just
transmission
don't
fluid
know
when
any
it comes
better.
time. And then the next thing you know, you need a transmission, and that costs a lot of money. So if you've spent money that you may not have had to spend
Right.
if you would have just changed the transmission fluid or had a fluid exchange on that. And that same thing holds true when we're talking about transmissions, the power steering system, the air conditioning system. All of these things, the fluids are very important to keep certain things functioning right, lubricated, and transfer the heat away from them. So keeping the car maintained is huge as far as saving money on a car.
Yes, and we're all almost out of time for a break, but we can go to John as soon as we get back.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you caught it. Okay, we will be back with more of the CNC Auto Show right after these messages.
I've been driving all night, my hands wet on the wheel. There's a voice in my head that drives my heel. It's my baby calling.
And welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. And we are answering automotive questions. We're sharing tips on how to cut your car expenses for the year. and lots more. So, John Ryan, are we ready to go to the calls?
I think so. Let's go over to John.
We are ready. John, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help with?
Well, good morning, Aaron and John Ryan. I'm going to answer the tech tip quiz.
All right. Man, it sounds like you got confidence and you're going to be ready.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what is the answer to the tech tip quiz?
He
All right, we're
uses
ready.
his phone, and he bought some kind of a mapping app for his phone so he could save time and money doing his errands
Oh, and he bought that at the grocery store?
on his cell phone.
On it. John, you remembered that
That
from a
was the
tip a
speedometer
long
one.
time ago, didn't you?
That was the
Yes, I did.
speedometer one.
Yeah, that was a hard tech tip, and it went for a long time before somebody really got the answer to that. But John,
Well,
there
listen
is
every
no
week,
cigar on this one.
Just a foghorn.
Yeah, that was a great try, though, John. Thank you, and it brought back a great memory of a good tech tip.
Well, tell them the answer of that
Okay.
one so they know what they're talking about.
Oh, the answer to that one? Oh, yeah, and that was it. A person bought something at the grocery store, and
fix
as it
their
turns out,
speedometer.
what they bought at the grocery store was an app. I think it had something to do with the person's speedometer.
It
didn't
was.
work.
Somebody had a Miata. They
Uh-huh.
went to the grocery store and went all the way back and bought something to fix their speedometer. What was
Yes, and they bought the app while they were in the grocery store.
it? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was a good one. Are we ready to go to more calls?
Yep. Let's go over to Eddie.
Okay. Eddie, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help with?
Yes, I got a 2011 Impala.
Mhm.
And I know that if y'all work on cars, you're familiar with the actuator motors for the AC and heating in those cars.
Is that what it sounds like?
Yep.
Yep, it sure does. I've already replaced the passenger side heating, one that operates the heat.
Yeah, because it wasn't as hard, right?
Beg your pardon?
Because it wasn't as hard to get to.
No, and I also replaced the one for the defrost and all that. That wasn't too hard.
Uh-huh.
But the driver's side one now has went out.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you can give me some hints on what I need to do to get to it.
Go to contortionist school.
I was going to
I
say just
figured
get somebody
that
else to
much.
drive you. Eddie, that one is a little tricky, but don't let it overwhelm you. It's just take some time. There's not much that you have to remove, but Aaron is right. You just about have to bend every which way to get it out. Of course, it's best to have a swivel socket, all 1/4-inch drive stuff. The technicians now, have battery-powered ratchets, so it fits in there a lot easier than, say, a hand ratchet, because of course it's so limited on space you can't necessarily sweep a ratchet from left to right. Whereas a battery ratchet, of course, you stick up there and you pull the trigger. So that makes it a little easier, but of course a battery ratchet's pretty expensive also. It can be done. You have to have a lot of patience with it.
Eddie, while we're touching on this subject, to me, it is just a beautiful sight to see a good technician at work
With all the tools.
And this is parts in a way a little sad, but in a way kind of beautiful. Technicians now, they have these gigantic boxes, and I mean absolutely beautiful boxes with just thousands and thousands, and I'm talking about $100,000 worth of tools in some of these boxes to be able to do the things that's done. But a long time ago, a technician, like just removing certain things, you'll see it would take like 5, 10, 15 minutes to go shoot, take a ratchet back and forth.
Right.
And a good technician now reach over, grab something, and go zip, 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 zip,
Like a pit crew.
and boom, it's off, and they set it over. Then they go to the next item, zip, zip, zip. And it's just a beautiful sight to see technicians do that. Now, of course, that's using the type tools that John Ryan is mentioning to use. It can be done with regular tools, but it will take longer. And there's no real tip that I can
That's what I'm
give to
saying.
say do it.
I wish there was more components you could get out of the way to get better access, but that's the hard part about it. You just can't.
Now here's a little tip that may be helpful, and and a lot of technicians do this, is take pictures as you go. Like, you just have your cell phone there, and if you're getting ready to remove something, you got a certain group of bolts, and you want to make sure you got everything in the right way or wires it the right way, just snap a quick picture as you go.
Well, not only that, the pictures help for bolts that you may or may not see. You know, say if you got 2 out and you're looking for the third, you know, take a picture of it, then you'll see. And then, of course, having the new one right there in front of you helps, too, because you can see where the mounting holes are and stuff like that.
Yeah, and don't really force anything. If something won't come off, that means that there's probably another bolt hidden somewhere. But
I was
you
thinking
would,
it meant bigger pry bar.
yeah, and set all the bolts that you're going to be using, kind of separate them in different places. But other than just normal tips that you already know, I really don't have anything special that I would be able to tell you on that, because pretty much when you hook it up and cut the key on, they normally pretty much reset themselves in most cases.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to check the software, though, because sometimes the software has updated for new performances of them, how they operate. But
Did that help any at all, Eddie?
you can say no, because it really didn't.
What I'm wanting to know is, I know on the for passenger side, I mean, I had to drop down the glove box to be able to get to it.
Right.
The only thing I'm looking at on this is maybe that panel is underneath the steering column.
Right.
To remove it, to have access to the the center part of the dash.
Right. And
the
Eddie,
bottom
you
side.
you
Is that
can
what I need to remove?
you can physically get that panel out, but just being 100% honest with you, it will not make any difference as far as gaining access, because it's actually more in the center of the dash than the panel is, if that makes sense. The panel is more to the driver's side of it, where the HVAC box is closer into the center.
He would need to take the dash off of that one, right?
Well, I mean, that's how a lot of people do it, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's it can be done without that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I did this, and I don't know if a lot of people have thought about doing something like this. I went to pull apart and experimented.
There you go.
And somebody told me that you maybe need to pull the padded dash off of it.
Uh-huh.
So I had one that was fairly stripped anyway, and I took it off, and you do not access it from the top.
Right, it's on the side.
So I was thinking that would probably be the only way, but I just thought I would check with y'all, because I figured y'all had probably already did one at one point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Ron has. I normally don't change those myself,
Yeah.
but I
Oh,
watched the technician. Now,
it's
we
been a long
have
time since I
taken the
did it.
dash off of those for some reason. I see them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's how the repair procedure is done, but you can actually get them out
okay.
without doing it. Yeah.
All right, so there's the tip. John Ron said it can be done.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just experiment with it and take off what I can do to maybe see it
What
from the
they normally
bottom, because
recommend doing is going on a fast for a
Get real
month
skinny.
before, so your hands are really, really small, and you can bend around really good.
No, I'm kind of old, and I don't move quite as good as I used to, so
Yeah.
that was one reason I was calling. just
Yeah,
to
well, do
see.
us a favor and let us know how it turns out. Let us know if you were able to get it out and how it went.
Okay. And I've got one other question that doesn't pertain to this Impala, but me and my daughter-in-law were talking about this, and we were kind of curious as to these new cars has got these automatic braking systems
Uh-huh.
that sense stuff that you're getting close to, it automatically put on the brakes.
Uh-huh.
How does that work when you go through a drive-through car wash and you got these lines going in front of you?
Yeah, you have
Is
to be
it
up to a
because
certain
you're in
speed.
neutral or not in
No,
not
no,
in drive?
it's looking at a certain speed. You got to be up to a certain speed before it will activate anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other safety precautions in there that it takes, but that's just one of them that would eliminate something like that happening. Is the speed that you would have to get up to. Okay, we're gonna have to go, Eddie. It's time to the time clock is on E, and we need to pull over for now. But we'll be back on the road in no time. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney. Our show producer is Dominic Frito, Sandy Klein, and our technical engineer Zach Llewellyn, and we would all like to say thank you to all you that tuned in and logged into the CNC Auto Show. Hello, car lovers, and welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and I am Aaron Clements.
I'm John Ryan.
And we are here to give you information on ways to make your car, truck, or SUV safer, to make it more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. I want to mention something really neat that happened today. We had a person, a listener, that asked us earlier, a few weeks ago, if we could sign a picture for them, and they were going to give it to someone for their Christmas present, part of their Christmas and things like that, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And Adam was giving this to his mother, and it was we got a picture, we signed it, gave a little, we put together a little basket type deal, with a hat and shirt and all the things that we normally do. And she sent us a card, and I thought it was really nice. You guys are the best. I can't wait to hang your picture. I love my T-shirt and hat as well, and you are truly great guys. See you soon. And Melinda, we thank you very much for the thank you card.
Yeah,
we
thank
really
you.
do appreciate it. Okay. I want to mention also, you can listen to the show live at ccautoshow.com. You can also catch us on Facebook. That part's kind of neat. And watch us live there. And also, if you're looking for a good, dependable automotive repair facility, you can go to ccautoshow.com and scroll about halfway down, and you'll see a link there to where you can do a search for some of the best auto repair shops in the country. And are we ready to go to the calls?
Yep, I think it's time. Let's go over to Ron.
Hey, Ron, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. What can we help you with?
Thank you, fellas. Look, I admire anybody that's willing to tackle a mechanical problem and take it on themselves. And, you think about it. Every time you turn that wrench, you just think to yourself, you're saving $5.
That's true.
$5.
Yeah.
Every time that wrench turns, it's about $5. I had replaced two of my coil-over plug.
Coil packs?
What do you call them? Yeah, coil packs. And they were so expensive. I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and change the rest of them myself. And I did. I felt a great deal of satisfaction. And this week, I think I'll finally get the last of the stitches out of my hand. But it worked.
Stitches are worth $10.
Yeah. Look, guys, you're talking about some tips on saving money, and this is from personal experience. I've always advocated to treat a relationship with your mechanic like a marriage, and date several of them until you find the right one, and stick with them, especially when it comes to your tires. They have gotten so expensive, guys, that if you don't monitor them, like you just treat it like you're going for maybe a prostate exam or something. You go to your place every year and check your alignment. You'd be surprised how quick just a little bit out of alignment it will wear your tires.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, and also rotating the tires on a regular basis, doing your alignment. And normally I recommend somewhere between 1 and 2 years doing alignment, and that's also a good time to go ahead and have the tires balanced. So a balance and alignment a lot of times can go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And that's also a chance to check the suspension system, make sure everything's good. And you're right. I mean, you got to figure if you can make tires last 20,000 miles longer, that's just money, extra money made.
Yeah.
Well, just a little bit out of alignment. It's just amazing how much it grinds down your tires.
Yeah.
So quickly, not keeping the proper air inflation and things like that. And another thing, with this cold weather, I know we're not really faced with it down here, but if you do travel up north, it's always good to have an emergency box in your trunk. Have some kind of an insulated, maybe an old camp bag, sleeping bag, or some spare water.
Yeah.
But they get caught out at, I just listened to the news waiting for you guys to come back on, and it said that there was some place that said that the feel-like temperature was 42. I don't know if we're required now to know what 42 feels like, but when you're stuck out there in it, and it's a life-threatening situation. And just to carry something like a sleeping bag or an extra gallon of water in your trunk, it don't take up much space, and it could really come in handy.
Yeah, just be prepared for those emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
And I
That's
agree.
right. Guys, I enjoyed the heck out of your show. Everybody have a safe and happy New Year.
Ron, we appreciate
too,
the
Ron.
call,
Thanks.
and you have a happy New Year also.
Y'all be good.
All right.
Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. That's 805 to 10 Eastern Time. And are we ready to go to the callers?
Yep, let's go to Esther.
Esther, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
I had sprayed this stuff on my battery, and I thought it was for cleaning, and apparently it's that stuff that like paints it or something.
Like protects the terminals?
Is there
like a
solvent
protector?
for that? I'm sorry, what?
What was it like? You sprayed a protector on it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were asking how to remove that?
Yeah, is there a solvent or something for it? Because you can't unscrew the screws.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, a lot of times the cleaner agent will actually remove the protector also. So if you put the cleaner on there, most cleaners spray on like with an aerosol can, and you wait about 5 minutes and they start to foam up and kind of eat the corrosion and kind of treat the chemicals. And then normally you rinse them off, gently. You don't really want to spray it with a garden hose because it may spread the acid everywhere. Gently, just pour water over top of the battery and it cleans
We
them.
use the kind that comes from Napa, and you just spray it on, and I think it turns like a foamy
Yellow.
red
Yeah.
color, and then you let it sit there for a period of time, and then you hose it off gently. I'm always very, very careful about the water as I'm hosing it off because I don't let any splatter over to the paint. I just cut the water hose on very, very low and just let the water ease out so it'll just let all the old
Corrosion and
cleaner
everything,
go down, and then I try to do the battery tray a little bit especially if the battery's been leaking, and get any battery acid off of that, and then let it dry real good. And a lot of times it's not a bad idea if you've seen a lot of corrosion, maybe to clean the inside of the cables. And of course, to do that, you have to take the cables off the battery. But if it wasn't a lot of corrosion, you may only need to do the cleaner and then let it dry real good, and then put some protector on there.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
All right, great question.
We appreciate the call. Yeah, really good question. And that is a good thought. Now, with that, that's also a great time to mention something else that is very, very important this time of year, and we get a lot of cars pulled in for this, is batteries.
It is, yeah. They either fail when they're really, really cold or really, really hot.
Yeah, and that is something that can save a lot of money on car expenses. One of the main reasons it saves it is, one, if you catch it before the car has to be towed in, you
save you that bill, yeah.
You saved a bill there. But also what happens when a battery is in its later years, let's say it's 4 years old, and it leaks down a little bit overnight to where it's supposed to have 12.6 volts. Let's see, it leaks down to 11.9 or something like that. Well, the next morning, the alternator has to work really hard to charge it back up. It does that day after day, and then the next thing you know, you have
and
a
it
bad
sounds
fault.
crazy, but a lot of technicians can actually pick up on that because you hear the alternator actually whine because it's working so hard.
Exactly, yeah, and it just kind of wears it down. Then when the battery does go completely out, it takes the alternator out with it. So keep the battery. If your battery's 4 or 5 years old, probably I recommend just going ahead and replacing it because it's time. Okay, we need to pull over for a minute, but when we get back on the road, I hope you'll be on the phone with us, and we'll have we'll talk a little bit. Plus, we'll have some great tips on car expenses. That and a lot more with the CNC Auto Show as soon as we return.
Just an old half-ton short bed Ford my uncle bought new in '64. Daddy got it right cause the engine was smoking.
Welcome back to the CNC Auto Show, and we are ready to go to the calls. And where are we going?
We're going to James. I'm still eating a chicken biscuit over here. All right, let's go, James.
All right, James, welcome to the CNC Auto Show. And what can we help
Morning,
with?
guys. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. Hey, I sent y'all a text on Facebook last week about the clutch master cylinder on a Toyota pickup truck.
Yes.
Yeah, we remember it.
I remember.
You just, I wasn't able, I've been in Florida. I've been living in Florida, so I wasn't able to get any feedback on it other than what you put on Facebook. But I'm still having a problem with the clutch master cylinder.
Uh-huh.
And I think the main thing is the travel play, the pedal throw, the adjustment on the rod. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
the push rod.
The pedal. I'm having to adjust this thing almost all the way out, and I'm thinking what's happening is it's putting the piston in the wrong position in the cylinder,
Right.
and it's causing it to prematurely fail.
That's very possible. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
How are you setting the push rod length?
What I do is, I get everything set up, and then I go inside under the dash, and I set it for about 1/8 of an inch of travel.
Okay, of free play.
Yes, free play, just about 1/8 of an inch, and I have to just, like I said, I have to adjust it almost all the way out to get it at that point.
John
Really?
Ryan, see if you've run into this before, because I can't remember what car it was, but we had a car in the shop. This was about 2 weeks ago, and I remember it so well because the person they were waiting for their car, and we had put a clutch master cylinder in it and 2 or 3 other items in there. And when we got done, same thing. We couldn't, it liked just a little bit of having enough pedal, and it just didn't feel right.
Okay.
And it turns out there was a little piece that was supposed to go on the end of the rod that was on the old master cylinder. And when we pulled the rod out, we had to go back and put this little thing that was only about
like a little nylon cap.
Yeah, a
or
little
something like
nylon
that?
cap. That was sort of like it, but it gave it just enough to make the pedal feel good after that.
Wow. I don't know, James. Do you remember anything like that when you removed the old one?
I don't remember that. It has the pin with the cotter pin on it. You just take
Right.
it loose
Yeah, you
and
just
pull
kind
the
of
pin
snatch it out of there. Yeah.
And
believe this
I don't
was a
remember any
Toyota, though.
bushing.
Was it?
Now, this was two different Toyotas that I have the same problem with. They're both 85 pickups.
Right. Well, it would be interesting. Well, I guess you've seen both the push rods on both of them,
Absolutely.
and they don't have any kind of nylon little clip on the end or anything like that.
No, there's not. It's just a straight hole on the clutch rod.
What about the
100%.
clutch pedal where it actually pivots? The pedal assembly where it pivots, are the bushings still good there?
That's a possibility. I haven't thought about that. And of course, it being an 85, it's possible it's pretty wore out.
Yeah, it wasn't a Toyota. It was actually a Nissan. I saw where one of the bushings, it was actually on the closest side to the left side or driver's side, closest to the fender. The bushing was completely gone, so the pedal was actually almost positioned sideways, which you really couldn't feel with your feet, because of course it's a very minute amount. But of course that's adding travel to it, just simply because the bushing, the space the bushing occupied is now used for
And
travel.
it's really kind of amazing how little amount of play it takes to make a huge difference in how the play in the
true.
clutch feels.
I mean, just half of a turn on that push rod makes a difference.
It does. Yeah. So I would look at that spot John Ryan mentioned right there, and then also, I wish there was some way for me to remember. I tell you what, if you give me a call during the week next week, I will get with that technician and find out what kind of car it was, because we stayed late and we found that right at the very end, and the person was very happy because everything felt great after that. But we were here till about a good bit later, trying to make sure it was done for the person, and it did turn out to be that little part there. So if the bushing that he's talking about does not solve it, give me a call next week.
I'm actually Googling right now, see if it has
or
a bushing.
Facebook.
Let's see here, and I got this picture pulled up.
All right,
James,
John Ryan's got a picture of it
let me
on here.
Okay.
Mountain piston, the snap ring. Yeah, very well could.
No, that's on the ends. Yeah.
So it's got the little clevis that attaches, of course, to the clutch pedal itself, the lock nut, and then it shows a boot, probably to obviously so that it doesn't get anything in there. But no, it looks like a solid push rod. And you said you've got yours basically all the way out.
Pretty much all the way out. And I'm thinking that's what's causing it. I've gone through about 8 of these clutch master cylinders already.
Wow.
And I'm thinking it's because the push rod is too far out. And like I said, I think it's putting the seal, the O-ring in the wrong position.
In the wrong spot. Yeah, and that's true. Of course, you lose some mechanical advantage if it's in the wrong spot, just mainly because it doesn't have the same stroke. What method are you using to bleed it?
I'm just pretty much bench bleeding it.
Okay.
I'm not putting it on vice or anything, but I'm pre-bleeding it before I put it on.
Okay.
Just
Have you
taking
tried
taking
just
the screwdriver.
normally at a shop we can put like an actual well, we use the brake flush machine, but we can actually put hydraulic pressure on the master cylinder and force bleed it. Have you tried gravity bleeding it, or are you familiar with that?
Yes, that's usually what I do.
Okay.
I'll bench bleed it, and I'll get it going, get the bubbles out. Then I'll let gravity. I'll break it loose down there at the slave cylinder, and I'll let all the air come out. Then I'll bleed it properly.
Gotcha.
Probably 8 or 10 different pumps before I get all
different
the air
times.
out.
Yeah. So that sounds just about normal to us as far as bleeding it. So kind of rule that out. I'm like you. If that now I will say if the push rod's too tight, as you work the clutch and the fluid expands a bit, of course it can definitely push that piston in the wrong position. But it sounds like an eighth of an inch should be fine. So I'd definitely check those pivot bushings.
Okay, that sounds like a deal. I haven't even thought about checking those.
All right. Well, let us know. Keep us informed on it.
All right, sounds great.
Thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
All right, thanks.
Okay, the number to call, 706-863-5800. That's 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time.
We got about 2 minutes before a break. Let's grab Sean real quick.
Let's do it.
All
Sean, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Yes, sir. I've been a big fan of the show. I listen to y'all every Saturday. But I got a 99 Tacoma that I had the same trouble with that the previous guy did about the master cylinder.
Yeah.
And I replaced 3 of them before I found out what was causing the misalignment to the push rod into the piston of the cylinder.
Yes.
The bracket that holds the pedal, or that the pedal's mounted to, had actually put a crack that was causing a twist-like motion. It was a lot. I was losing travel to the pedal.
Wow, yeah.
And where was the crack? Was it near the top of the bracket or near the bottom, or
was it easily seen?
It was the part facing you, so it'd be the top.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, so
hopefully he'll find that when he checks the bushings on it.
Yeah, might. Yeah, he may see it that way, and if he has to, he may be able to look underneath there while somebody's pushing on it.
Now, Sean, if his is cracked, can he buy yours?
No, I'm not going to change that pedal again.
Hey, Sean, we really do appreciate you calling in and sharing that with us. It may help him.
I think he gets a hat and a coffee mug. What do you think?
Yeah, he does. I think you get a hat or a coffee mug, whichever one. And we'll appreciate it. Come on by and say my name's Sean, and we'll get you one.
Will do. I appreciate it, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay, number to call, 706-863-5800. That's 8:05-10 Eastern. Time for a real quick break. When we come back, we'll have Dominic Frito's Tailgate Talk and more.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around, round, round, I get around, get around.
And welcome back to the CNC Auto Show, and it is time for Tailgate Talk with Dominic Frito.
Aaron, I found another a good car up for auction this week.
Mm-hmm.
It is Preston Tucker's personal Tucker 48 sedan.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
And I'm sure you know, they only made 51 of these back in the late 40s, early 50s before they shut the company down. None of them ever actually made it to production. They were all considered prototypes.
Yes.
The car is also more commonly known as the Tucker Torpedo.
Mm-hmm.
So this car was used by Preston Tucker, the owner of the company, as his personal car for 7 years before he sold it. It is expected to fetch somewhere around $1.25 million.
Whoa.
And that's Tailgate Talk.
Absolutely amazing. And that was actually a really good movie about Tucker that they had. So that would be amazing. I'd love to at least see a picture of that car. Okay, we are ready for a phone call, 706-863-5800. That's 8:05 to 10 Eastern Time. And one of the tips on saving on car expenses is if you want to buy a new car, consider the smallest model for your needs. Don't overbuy. I mean, if it's only 1 or 2 people that you're going to be
don't buy a dually if you work a mile away.
Exactly. Buy what you need, and you'll find that in doing that, you'll find that the insurance will be cheaper, the fuel mileage will be cheaper, and also you'll be able to do what you need with it for less money.
Right.
So and do the research on the vehicle before you get it. Make sure you're getting a vehicle that's got a good history of maintenance, and it's not one that is very expensive to work on.
Right.
Also, make sure that it's known to give good longevity, give good trade-in value, all of the other things that you're looking at, and put out that don't just go by just the way a car looks in the beginning.
Right.
Spend that extra time on it.
Yep.
Okay, and in doing that, you can save anywhere from $400 to $600 a year buying the vehicle that you need. So that is a very good tip on there. All right, now another great tip is keep the vehicle tuned properly. A poorly tuned vehicle can use 25 to 30% more gasoline each year, and it's cheaper to pay the cost of a tune-up than it is to repair major problems. For instance, let's say a car has a little bit of a skip. That could be a coil starting to go out. Now that little skip, and you're having that unburned fuel that's going into the system because of that cylinder not firing,
might wipe out the catalytic converter.
Exactly. Then you have catalytic converter problems. And catalytic converters can be $800-900 or more.
Yeah, it just depends on the vehicle. It sure does.
Yeah, and it can be much more, as a matter of fact.
Depends on what emission system it has.
So having things like an ignition coil or a vehicle that's not running right. And by the way, normally what leads to bad coils is a tune-up going a lot longer than it should.
Further interval,
Because when the gap starts to wear and it gets wider and wider and wider, the coil has to put out more energy to try to fire that and jump that gap.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, the coil goes out. And of course, I mentioned that leads to a catalytic converter type issue.
Just kind of a downhill battle.
Yeah, and all of that time, you're also losing money on fuel mileage.
Right.
So know when the vehicle needs to be tuned up. And what happens so many times is it gets overlooked, because a lot of times a person may buy a car when it has 70, 80,000 miles on it.
Right.
Well, they assume that it's probably been tuned up, and then the next
they
thing
put
you
80
know,
on it.
Exactly. They put another 80 on it, and then it's been 150, 160 since the last maintenance tune-up's been done on the vehicle. And so that's when all the components start going out together.
Right.
And somebody said, wow, this car's just falling apart on me. Well, it's falling apart because it's sort of like domino effect.
Didn't catch it in the beginning.
As far as things like that go.
That's also kind of another reason why you want to pre-purchase. Like you mentioned, of course, if you buy a vehicle with, say, 80 on it, a lot of stuff's due at 90 or 100, and you might assume that it's done. So a pre-purchase is a good way of finding out what is coming due and what's been done.
Exactly. It's not just to find out if you're getting a good car or not, because many times you are getting a good car. You can tell that the car's been taken care of on the outside.
You might be paying top dollar for it, assuming that it's in perfect condition, but when you have a pre-purchase done, you might find out that it needs $1,500 worth of work in the near future. So
if it's just due for a timing belt, you could get into
get into that money.
Yeah. So things like that. We one other thing I want to mention is having to do with insurance. It's a good idea to ask your insurance agent how much money you can save by raising the deductible of your auto collision insurance. And a lot of times raising the deductible from $250 to $500 can save you somewhere 10 to 30%. And then, of course, raising it from $500 to $1,000 can save you even more than that.
Right.
And if you have a good driving record, you may come out ahead to do some searching. Now, if you don't have a good driving record, you have a little bit harder time.
You don't really want to rock the
shopping
boat.
around. Yeah, you might not want to rock the boat, and that's another reason for driving slower and calmer. Not only takes the load off the car, but also keeps down those traffic tickets, so you'll get better insurance.
Are you going to mention later about full coverage versus liability?
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing to do.
Then.
Why don't we go to the calls first up?
Okay, that sounds good. Let's go to Ellie.
Ellie, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Appreciate the call.
I have a 2002 Jeep Liberty Sport, and the last, it's been running fine. It's got high mileage, like 180,000. Yeah. The last big thing that was done was a water pump last year, and he had to put another clutch fan on there. That was the last thing last year. Now, running fine, although a little louder since the new clutch fan was put in. kind of takes off when I
Sounds
start
like an
it up.
airplane, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
got a little different sound. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like really powerful.
Yeah.
But now what's happening is I can start the car in the cold weather, walk the dog, get in the car, it doesn't stall out or anything. Sometimes when I come up to a light, it will stall out. And it starts right back up automatically. I could start it and, no hesitation. But it will stall out. And it doesn't do it every time. And I'm trying to research, like, when is it happening? Sometimes maybe if I go up to the light too aggressively.
Right. Ellie, this
so I've
sounds
been
like a
kinda
crazy question,
coasting
but
into it.
but does it just stall out like as fast as you could pull the key out? Is it that abrupt, or is it something that kind of dies down, like it's a slower stall? If that makes sense. Does it feel like somebody just pulled the key out like immediately, or is it like it kind of runs a little rough and then eventually stalls out?
Or just kind of
It just
idles down
quietly-
until it cuts off.
Right. It idles down pretty fast, though. Like, I'll have my foot on the brake, and if it's, a
Yeah, it just
light,
kinda
whatever,
stalls out.
I'm sitting there waiting.
When you restart
it's
it,
quiet.
when you restart it, is any check engine light or anything like that on?
No.
No,
I've had a
okay.
check engine light on and off from...
Okay.
Sounds
I
like a
don't- I
throttle
think there's
body
something wrong
restricted
with
to me.
It very well could be. The reason, it'd still be a great idea actually to have the vehicle scanned for trouble codes. The Chrysler products are pretty good about storing codes in the history, meaning like it happened before, but it wasn't like a major problem, so we're going to store this code over here. And a lot of times, for instance, if you're having this problem, then there's a history code for an idle air control valve stuck or something like that. A technician would go that route. So that would be, beneficial to you. Now, I will tell you that, the over-the-counter parts stores, they can't actually access that memory of the module. So, if they scan it, they're going to say, yep, no codes. But, somebody with the proper scan tool equipment can actually go into the history codes and kind of see the driving past of the vehicle. So that would be one suggestion. But like you said, Aaron, I mean, especially with it being cold, carbon really kind of is making me wonder.
I lean toward the possibility of that throttle body being restricted, and the reason it can do that is a throttle body is supposed to have a little bit of a minimum airflow that can go past a little flap in the throttle body.
Throttle plate,
and that's what lets it have. It's almost like a backup minimum for if you let your foot off the gas
immediately.
And it's supposed to allow that air to keep the car running. Well, if it's got carbon around that flap and there's no minimum airflow that can go through there, then you may take your foot off, and it just kind of starves it for air for that short period of time.
Right.
And then when you crank it back up, the idle air control valve can take over and let enough air in there to keep it running the other times. Now, doing that can be as something as small as doing a BG induction clean, which will go in and chemically remove all the carbon from around the throttle plate, around the intake manifold, top of the pistons, top of the valves, and get it cleaned out. That'll not only help with that problem, but also give you better fuel mileage on the vehicle.
Right.
Also, so.
Oh, wow, I could use that.
Who couldn't?
So all of
That's
those.
a gas guzzler.
Yeah. Now that's also an opportunity to find out and check to see if the vehicle's due for any kind of maintenance tune-up or any other items. So I'd recommend doing those things, just having it checked out to see what it's going to need as far as maintenance items. It don't sound like you got any particular one item wrong though.
And we hope that helps.
Okay.
It does. Thank you very much. I'll make an appointment.
Thank you, Ellie, and you have a fantastic day. And it is time to take a real quick break. And when we return, we'll have more money-saving tips for cars. Plus, we'll go to William with his 05 GMC and lots more as soon as we return with the CNC Auto Show. Welcome back to the CNC Auto Show. Money-saving tip. It is a good idea to make a decision on if you are ahead to carry your collision insurance on there, or if the vehicle has reached an age to where it may not be a benefit.
Right.
Now, there's way too many factors involved for us to make that decision for somebody, because a lot of it would have to do with how much would the insurance company pay if the vehicle were to, let's say, be
total
totaled
loss.
out. And also, would you have a reserve fund standing by in case something did happen?
Yeah.
To where you could at least get another vehicle.
Yeah.
A lot of these factors involved, but the main tip part of it is to do that research and make that decision, because you don't want to pay a high collision insurance and find out they're only going to pay you like
$2,500 or something.
Yeah, a very small amount of money. If something happened, you can just put that money away each month and put it toward another vehicle if something did happen.
The only thing that I could think that would change that is the type vehicle, of course.
Exactly.
Like you said. For instance, if you had a Mercedes and you got bumped in the back bumper and every airbag blew out,
yeah,
and it was 2 years old, of course, you'd want full coverage. Well, that same car, 10 years old, would be totaled very quickly, obviously, with the same amount. So, I mean, you know, you kind of
But what would they give you if it was to be totaled
10
out?
years
and
later,
that's where the question comes in. So you do want to sit down and give it a lot of thought when you're making that decision.
It's an equation and a good balance, yeah.
It is, yeah.
So,
you ready to go to the calls?
Yeah, let's go over to William.
Hey, William, welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Hey, sir, how you doing? Y'all got a great show.
We do appreciate that very much. Appreciate the call, too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I got that 2005 GMC truck, and every now and then, I'd say, my lights will start flickering on the inside dash and outside. It runs great. It brings up every time, but I'm thinking maybe I need to get the battery and the alternator checked out.
Yeah, William, that was going to be my first question. The first question is, how old is the battery?
A year.
A year old. Okay, the next question would be what's the volt gauge doing when the lights are flickering? Is it going up and down?
Oh, I need to look at that.
Yeah, what we see most of the time, which is what the problem you're having is a very common problem on that platform of trucks. The alternator, the regulator, almost gets confused, and it goes from full charge, which is about 14.5, to normal state of charge, which is 12.5. It's a smart alternator. It kind of it does its job as needed, so to speak. It's not just fully on every time the truck's on. So what can happen is the regulator it basically goes bad, and it sends faulty readings to the alternator to charge and then not charge, charge and then not charge, and it'll do just that. The lights will get dim, bright, and then all of a sudden it'll smooth out. So chances are it's got a bad regulator in the alternator. Years ago, people would put regulators in them, but then the armature would go bad and stuff like that. So we would recommend, alternator. Now, definitely, get it tested and make sure that's what it is before you just put an alternator on there.
And also in making decisions.
I got one more question for you.
Okay, we're ready.
I'm sorry. My heat and air unit. It's 1 through 5 on the button knob there on the
the dial.
Air coming out. Every time, it seems like every year, one of those knobs numbers, the only one that works on there now is 3. 1, 4, and 5 is out.
Yeah,
and
that unfortunately, there's not many common problems with those trucks, but that would be another one. That system is actually very simple. It has that knob, and it requests and it sends different signals to what's called the blower motor resistor, and it's called a resistor because it resists the voltage to the blower motor. So full speed would be about 14 volts, which is normally the charging system volts. Number 4 would be, say, 12.5, and so on to the point to where it's like 1 volt, to where the blower motor is barely spinning on 1. What happens is that resistor can actually lose the circuit that's in there that controls and lowers the voltage. But with that being said, the resistor is what's causing the problem right now, but there's actually a root cause, and that's the blower motor. The blower motor is probably pulling too many amps and has actually drawn that circuit so much that it's actually damaged the circuit inside the resistor.
You can put
itself.
a new one on, but chances are it'll go bad in a shorter period of time.
If not, melt the connector.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to replace the blower motor.
Blower motor and resistor. Most of them come with an updated connector, so there's a little bit of wiring involved. But if you, of course, there's instructions with it, and it's a pretty simple repair.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot for the information, sir.
All right. Thanks for the call.
William, we do appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. And what I was going to
Yes,
mention, having to do with the alternator, a lot of times doing a good job on a vehicle and also being a good technician is knowing what works, what items you can get a good remanufactured item for,
Right.
and what you may not want a remanufactured item for.
Sure.
And of course, on GM alternators, remanufactured holds up very, very well.
Right.
Matter of fact, now we buy the Napa brand, but it's very unusual to get an alternator that gives any problems at all.
Right.
As far as getting a remanufactured. Now there may be another type vehicle that we may get. It may be a
well, let's use James's '85 Toyota. We wouldn't necessarily put a remanufactured slave cylinder on there because it's an '85. It might be on the shelf for 2 years, and then it's a reman part.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend a remanufactured slave cylinder myself. Period.
Yeah, unless it was very last
and on
resort.
certain cars, I wouldn't use a remanufactured alternator. It's just, and that's
I
where
wouldn't
the tricky
use a
part is
remanufactured.
knowing when to use.
I wouldn't use a remanufactured alternator on a Range Rover with a 4.4 with the liquid cooled alternator. I would never do that.
If you could find one.
If you can find the alternator in the engine,
for that. But knowing those differences when to get it is knowing it's actually part of a good technician's job.
It is
knowing what works, and that's where the experience comes in. Is knowing when to use this and when you can use something different. What brands work best on different items, and there's just so many factors involved. And again, in that particular case, using a reman alternator is good. In a case, for instance, a master cylinder, I would never use a remanufactured master cylinder myself.
Right.
Now, some people do, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable.
Well, I think what changes that is you wouldn't use a remanufactured if a new was available. If a new wasn't available, I mean that's the only option we have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have a choice on certain things that you do. Now we did not get an answer to our tech tip quiz this week, so we will be posting that question on our Facebook page, that CNC Auto Show Facebook page, and it'll be posted. You can also see that same area through ccautoshow.com.
I do have a random question for you. Did you ever sell your Model A?
No, the Model A is still for sale. I have had a lot of offers for it that come very close to what I'm looking for, but I'm not in that big of a hurry to sell it.
Well, I think you got a good price on it anyways.
Yeah, it's a very good price on it. So I've still got the Model A, and it is still for sale.
Okay.
All right, now the tech tip quiz we're gonna mention this because it will be going on Facebook, and if you know the answer, you will still will announce that person as being the winner next week. Bill bought something at the grocery store on aisle 3 that saved him money on his car expenses. Now, what did he buy? And if someone knows the answer to what that is, all they have to do is give us a call, and they could win all of the beautiful prizes that we have.
And you're gonna post the question on Facebook?
Yeah, it will be posted on Facebook, and that gives me an opportunity to mention one other thing that I think is real important to say a few words about from time to time. If you hadn't been to ccautoshow.com, it would be great to go there if you want to learn more about how your vehicle works.
Right.
There's a lot of animated type pictures. You can go on and click one area, and you can see how your air conditioning system functions. You can see how your brake system, anti-lock brake system.
Right.
There's a huge number of videos on that same website.
That's a service assistant.
Yeah,
right?
Service assistant. And all these are like halfway down the page. You just click on them and you can do it. So there's a lot of great information there. I urge you to go to ccautoshow.com. And also, if you get an opportunity, go to our Facebook page and like our page. That's CNC Auto Show on Facebook. Okay, the time clock's on Eve. We need to pull over for now, but we'll be back on the road in no time. I'm Aaron Clements with co-host John Ryan Mooney. Our show producers are Dominic Frito, Sandy Klein. Technical engineer is Zach Llewellyn. And we would all like to say thank you to all of you that tuned in, logged in, and especially those that called in to ride with us on the CNC Auto Show.